cases at least use that with a negative connotation, like attachment's bad and it shouldn't happen and we want to avoid it. But um, uh, with regard to, I've got a particular issue, I want to file a lawsuit to there is a guy named Edward Snowden. Do you know that name, Daniel?
Yes.
So he had some issues with, sharing information about the government. I would presume it was accurate information. So on the subject of truth and lies and deception in media and government, all that kind of stuff, think of the case of that guy. Well, if I want to file an appeal to have him released or to have him, I don't know if he's in jail, I forget. I think he is. But if I want to file some kind of a thing to, support him, or if I want to do a fundraiser and a bake sale, and we only raise $700 and I wanted to raise 3,000, well, we raise 700 and we send it off, and then we do another fundraiser later, or we don't. But it's not a personal failure if the method doesn't succeed. It's not like I don't get to go to heaven. It's like, well, I learned something from that bake sale, and we earned $700. We must have been selling some really great brownies. So, what was the ingredient? Well, they're paleo brownies. It's with almond flour. That's the secret. It's not marijuana. I know what you guys are thinking. It was almond flour and stevia to sweeten it. It's so much better than maple syrup and
So basically, what you're saying is, if we wanted to make 3,000, we only made 700. We can learn that maybe next time we shouldn't sell brownies. Maybe we should do something else to make the 3,000. As a novice, you can try different methods.
right.
You're still learning. You get the 700, you move on, you have another fundraiser, but you still learn that maybe that wasn't the most effective way to make $3,000. If we're using, examples. Yeah.
I think what we should do next time, Daniel, is have a bigger marketing budget, because I think the problem was not enough people showed up. I mean, people liked the brownies. That
Okay.
was just, I mean, seriously, did you? I talked to a few people there, and they really liked the brownies.
Yeah, I would drive to Colorado. I wouldn't eat those Arizona brownies, but
They're a little dry, but okay. So,
well, I'd have dry mouth anyway, so it's okay.
what?
I would have dry mouth anyway, so it's okay.
Wow.
You don't know what dry mouth
I
is?
do know what dry mouth is, but we were watching a cooking show the other day, and it was like Chopped is the name of it, right? Okay, so somebody got like vodka or something that they put in their dessert. So they had this intensely alcoholic dessert that they served to the judges, and the judges are like, "Yeah, you know what? I like your presentation. That looks really good. When I saw the little plate and the colors. Wow, it's really nice. It has some great textures." And then I got into it, and you know what? It's a little too much. You know what? It's all I taste is the alcohol. It's just overpowering. And that's why we had to chop you, so, which means the person loses. So,
Yes.
alcohol in brownies, I think that's okay, but we should pass a law. That's where we get into the real. Now we're getting serious here. We should pass a law. The government needs to step in and make sure that people don't use red wine in their mincemeat brownies, because you should use white wine.
This gets into one blog you wrote about how you and your wife had a conversation
No, that's not true.
about how your four kids have no more you have no more political power than your four kids. You two together have no more political power than your four kids would have. You know what I mean? So
Because
yeah,
democracy is the right way, okay? In my household, we've got 6 members. There's my wife, myself, and our 9 children. And we give each of them one vote, which we crumple up and throw away, and then we have a democracy. The two of us vote, and if we agree, then we move it forward, and that's it. Okay.
you sound like Hitler more than democracy. You know that?
All right. Well, it's a social democracy. It's
Oh, is that? Well, that's completely different then, right? Yeah.
so. What's the specific reference? Is just like the idea that nobody really likes democracy. that we just say that we do, or what?
Well, no, it was your. I don't remember what I read it in that you wrote, but just that it might be delusional to think that our words carry power unless they actually do. You know what I mean? It might be. Each of us has a certain level of effect on other people. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We only affect the people around us, so it might be delusional to think that I have any more political power with any words than anybody else does. You know what I mean? Unless you actually do. If you're a politician, obviously that would hold true. But if you're a security guard or any other random job, that's what I took out of it when you talked about how your wife and your 4 kids and how none of you had any more political power than anybody else. I mean, clearly in the household you do, but outside the household you might not.
Okay. I honestly don't remember that article right now, so that's why I'm asking you what your
Yeah, I don't
reference is.
remember either. It was a while back. But
Okay.
I got a good laugh out of it because it may be true that a lot of us don't have a lot of power outside of our household, of course.
Okay.
The father and the mother, of course, in the household would always have power in the household, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
right? They would have effect, but they wouldn't necessarily have effect outside of the household unless you actually do. So it could be delusional to be a cynic or a critic if, your words mean nothing to anybody. I mean, where's that going to get you?
Right. Yeah. We wave the signs around, and then you know what? Do you remember the time that you saw that bumper sticker on that one car and it totally changed your political right before the election? Remember, it said "Vote for Gus," and you're like, "Damn, I should vote for Gus." I didn't even know.
I wasn't going to before that. Yeah, it was
What?
very. I wasn't going to vote for Gus before that.
I didn't even know he was running.
Yes. So things can grab our attention. Absolutely. Language can grab our attention, but yeah. But moving on, are we going from the next level, from novice to pragmatist? Say it. It's not pragmatist, right? What is it?
Pragmatist
Pragmatist, thank you. Yes, I appreciate that.
or pragmatist.
Pragmatic. Okay, see, I can pronounce it 15 different ways, but I picked the one way that doesn't make any sense.
As long as you have a British accent, you have a lot of authority in my house. In my house, okay? I'm just talking about in my house.
Yeah, you live with me, so.
My wife doesn't seem to think that my British authority has any accent in her house. I don't get it. And she also said that when I word order the change in the sentence, that makes no difference. It does not. It's not. Did you ever hear the thing about the what? Just a second. My wife said something. It's a shock. What?
You're Yoda, you're talking like Yoda.
Oh, I'm talking like Yoda. So, okay. So imagine Yoda saying, "The girl the boy kissed."
That's perfect from Yoda.
What does that mean? Does that mean the boy which was kissed by the girl, or the boy the girl kissed? Well, when Yoda says it, it's like I don't know what that means. Did the boy kiss the girl? Did the girl kiss the boy? Did the boy the girl kissed? So
Yeah, but he had the force, so he could do whatever he wanted. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's face it.
That's my point.
wow. Speaking of power, you guys, wow. All I need to do is like be telekinetic, and then I can use the force. So I'm bringing up this thing about word order way like out of sequence. But in the very beginning, we could have made a joke about how word order is important in language, but the boy the girl kissed is different than the boy kissed the girl, or the boy and the girl kissed. So one of the things about language as distinct from signals, which other animals will use, as we're starting to get mindful of language, the sequence matters. So when we start to get into making presentations and how do I deliver information to people and how do I provide them access to humor and fun and enlightenment and mindfulness and creativity and authority, then I get mindful about what works. I don't know what's going to work to talk to my wife, what's going to work to talk to Daniel, what's going to work to share with other people. Well, I don't know yet. Let's try. Let's find out. I mean, I have my sense of what could work, and I experiment. And if it works great, then how do I know? What works great? What do you say, Daniel? Does it work great? Have you gotten a lot out of this so far?
Absolutely, yes.
You're lying. Let's move on.
You cynic. All right. So a
It
pragmatist.
didn't make any difference. It's not gonna make. Oh, wait, right. That was cynic. Okay.
Come on, novice. We moved up a couple levels.
Oh,
What's wrong with you?
thank you.
Pay attention.
Thank you. I feel so much better now. I'm playful.
So pragmatist, mature, clear, perceptive, conservative, focused, and flexible would be all characteristics of a pragmatist.
And so I'm saying the novice is like open-minded, but not necessarily focused. They may not have an experience of passion in any particular, attraction or commitment. They might not. Conservative, I simply mean attentive to resources and the use of energy.
Okay.
Time is valuable. Amy wants me right, 10 minutes ago. I'm late for whatever. So conservative in relation to time, resources, my breath. If I'm a singer, for instance, my breath, whatever it is, whatever the resource is. Food. What do you want to say a little more about the pragmatist?
I don't know if I can. I'm in no position.
Make it up. What do you think? What do you associate with that? When you observe other people that you think might be in that category, what do you think?
I think of a balloon full of air. That's what I think of. And when you release the air, it just all comes out, and there's no specific direction. It just comes out of the balloon.
Okay.
So that could be certainly a novice, somebody who's no, that wouldn't even be a novice. But someone who's a pragmatist might have more direction to where they want to release their energy. Right?
I don't know why you brought up the balloon analogy, but it reminds me of the repulsion attraction thing I said a while ago. Did I bring up the balloon analogy to you before?
Yes.
Okay, I did. Well, you remind me of the full reference is when there is a point of foundation like a base and a tower like a silo, a missile silo, and it's gonna have all this a rifle for a bullet. There's the propulsion of the repulsion, but there's also a specific channel of the barrel of the gun, and you aim it, and then you have all that firepower of the gunpowder and all that repulsion, and you get momentum. That's a very different thing than with a balloon that's flying around all over the place and nowhere in particular, because there's no containment and coherence and focus. So you can let out energy quickly or let out energy slowly, but it's not going to necessarily build momentum and accomplishment in the way that a pragmatist will be interested in.
Right. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, I get that. That was awesome. I wasn't thinking of that at all, but I get that is really great contrast.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But yeah, it certainly, I think, it's an interest of mine, or it's a passion of mine to be more focused, more flexible. I can see that, although sometimes I certainly am not that way, right? I'm a critic or a cynic or whatever, But yeah, that's where my passion lies at the moment, is to be, whatever, mature, clear, perceptive, all those different things. That's what drives me, I guess, because sometimes I have troubles kind of pinpointing what my passion is, but certainly that is one of my interests or passion.
Yeah, and it seems like an odd thing to say. I'm interested in introspection and becoming powerful in my life, and how to communicate better, how to connect with people effectively. Some people might think, well, how is that important? Well, that's not specific, or whatever people might think, and that's fine. But For some of us, that is a authentic expression of our real interest and even a priority for us. It may not occur at the stage of priority for some people, but the issue of priority would be how I use the term priority. I can have something be a priority for 2 hours a week, 2 hours a day, all the time. It's always a possible priority. If my fire alarm goes off, then whatever else was important I set aside to deal with the shrieking noise of the fire alarm or the smoke alarm, or is there a fire or whatever. So priorities aren't like exclusive, they're just more intense than interest. They're more focused, more committed. I actually did a thing where I went from open to interest to intrigued to motivated, committed, dedicated, devoted, like this whole range of spectrum of engagement. How attached or engaged or focused is somebody on a particular issue. And they could be open to it, they could be interested in it, they could be intrigued, they could be obsessed. There's this whole range of possibilities. And it is also possible for people to use the study of any hobby to be an avoidance mechanism, and that is adaptive. One of the oddities about my perspective is that avoidance and withdrawal are totally valid. There's absolutely nothing dysfunctional about avoidance in general. Chronic, unconscious avoidance may be extremely disempowering and ineffective. But avoidance or withdrawal or repulsion or setting boundaries or saying no or rejecting, offers and proposals, there's power in all of that.
Effectiveness in that, yes. If it's not chronic, right? There's effectiveness in doing those things, at certain moments.
I want to avoid a traffic collision. Who says, "Oh my God, you want to avoid traffic collisions? You're so negative."
How could you be so negative?
How could you be so negative? You're fixating on avoidance. You're gonna, if you should think positive and think about just getting to your destination. Okay, that's fine, but if there's a car, crossing the yellow line into my lane of oncoming traffic, then I might take evasive action.
Right. So at the chronic use of distraction is not really, it's delusion. It's not really relevant to the moment. Where you're talking about is sometimes, avoiding something can be relevant and can be, mature, clear, perceptive, conservative, focused, and flexible. Whereas if it's chronic, it's probably not any of those things, right?
Well, okay, let me jump to the subject of addiction. So let's say that I, what is that, cola? I don't know what you had there in your hand, but
Well, yeah.
what is it? Is that a sports drink?
Not exactly.
Oh, 4. I don't recognize that brand. High octane. It looks like it says high octane. So
No, it's Four Loko. It's Blue Hurricane, actually.
I don't know what that is. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
So with the subject of addiction, and I was asking about drinking because it could be soda, it could be alcohol, it could be eating, it could be 1,000 different addictions. Being a critic, in a way, we could think of as an addiction. Being a reformer is an addiction, but some addictions are functional. If somebody smokes a cigarette and they feel relaxed, and then they smoke another cigarette another day, and then another week they smoke a pack, and then another month they smoke another pack. Why do they do that? Because they experience some benefit. That nobody gets addicted to something that they don't value. If somebody uses, some hugely numbing drug, I don't know if crack is hugely numbing, but let's say it's hugely numbing, and it's like somebody's almost totally numb and unconscious. It's like anesthetic for their entire existence. Well, that typically would be thought of as dysfunctional, and that's understandable. But if somebody says, well, you drink twice a week, and you smoke weed twice a week, or you every month you play the lottery, you're addicted to gambling. The use of the word addicted and addiction doesn't necessarily mean a lot to me in any particular use of it. So when people are chronically of using something as an avoidance mechanism, again, I'm going to go back to the traffic analogy: seatbelts, water. You don't say I'm addicted to water, but you might drink it multiple times a day, every day. So the chronic use of something isn't addiction necessarily. A lot of times when people use the term addiction, they're talking about something that is unfavorable. So if I say I'm addicted to water, that means I want to stop using it so much or altogether. Or if I say somebody else has an addiction to gambling on horse races, then I'm saying that like as a criticism, like I want them to stop. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with gambling on horse races or that there's anything right about it. And if somebody wants to watch TV sports or wants to argue about politics or wants to go to, acting class or whatever, all of these different distractions or avoidance mechanisms, if you add a bunch of different addictions together, if you're addicted to 45 things, you like to read, you like movies, you like sports, you like, what else? I don't know, cooking. If you like all these different things, none of them are an addiction. If you have like 7 hobbies, you're not going to get necessarily very good at any of them very quickly. But the point of addictions is when we use a term like that, it tends to be exclusive. So if I'm doing something to avoid tension or to avoid upset or to avoid an injury like seatbelts or something, if I'm doing something consistently that's favorable to me, that brings me relaxation, more power to me until I find a better method. And Daniel, I think you will recall me saying something like that to you like a year ago. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's like relaxation can be had through a variety of ways. Some of them don't work very well. Some of them are really reliable. Some are, costly, take a lot of time, take a lot of money. But if I watch a TV show every week, I watch this one. Oh my God, it's almost 6 o'clock, Vanessa. It's Sunday. Do you know what that means?
No.
Is it 6 o'clock? Oh! It's another hour and 2 minutes. So we got 62 minutes before the show starts. Okay, but is it an addiction? Well, if somebody watches TV 16 hours a day and has the opportunity to go outside in the springtime in Pittsburgh and enjoy the outdoors, but doesn't want to because they don't like people and blah, 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 and they 16 hours a day watch TV for 12 years, then we start to think you might be addicted to television watching. But for somebody who does, if they watch TV for 10 hours a day for a few days, we might say that was unproductive. And otherwise, I really don't care what somebody did in most cases. Did you know, I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, Dana, but by my last count, there are 95 people in Colorado right now that are not getting high. So one of the differences...
We need to reform them.
We should. They probably just don't know. I think that they don't have enough social media and they didn't know that it's legal there. Maybe the government should subsidize it, actually. That's a good idea. So, Vanessa and I were talking about the difference between I don't care and I don't mind last night as we went through the same kind of, talk that we went through now here that we're close to 2 hours into. I don't care is something that is said frequently by what stage of our 8 stages that we just reviewed? What stage says, I don't care?
That would be a idealist, I guess, right? Or no, innocent.
No.
Wait a minute.
I don't care.
Would be somebody who's. Oh, there we go. Oh, that would be I'm sorry, the cynic. Yes.
Why would it be the cynic? What do you mean?
Well, they're dismissive, withdrawn, reclusive, so they lie to themselves and say they don't care, when really they do. No.
What do you mean? They really do care. That's interesting. Say more about it.
Well, if they're speaking up about something
Oh.
that they don't care about, then they must obviously care.
I just called to tell you that I don't want to talk to you. How are you doing anyway?
Exactly.
So anyway, how are you? So I don't care about all those other people waving signs and the government and the FDA and the people smoking in Colorado and the vaccinations. I don't care about all that. So the cynic is saying that as a social pretense to distance themselves from the intensity and the emotions of those conversations. Why? Out of a maturing movement toward health, toward mindfulness. They want to withdraw from the panic and the paranoia, and being a cynic is a transitional process that allows them to distance themselves somewhat mindfully from controversies that don't matter to them. And there may be controversies that do matter, but I don't mind is a hugely different thing that is relaxed. Which stage says I don't mind?
Well, that you're going to the probably the novice even. The novice at that point, right? Would
Right.
be-
He does.
Yeah.
So the novice doesn't mind. The government is deceptive. Did you know that the government was deceptive in when was that? That was like February of when was that? February of 1471. The British government was deceptive, and there's a Monty Python sketch about this. It's a historical incident. They were deceptive, and they should not have been. And this novice is like, yeah, they're deceptive, and I don't mind. Yeah, vaccines caused damage in 6 cases, and there was a lawsuit, and yeah, and I don't mind if people focus on nutrition and health, and I don't mind if they don't. If they want to enter the kingdom of heaven, nutrition isn't necessarily gonna do that for them, but we'll just ignore that. I don't know who that is, unless you want to get it, Vanessa. So going from I don't care dismissively and condescendingly, and you shouldn't care either, you're a fool. That's the kind of thing a cynic would say. The novice is like, oh, so you're a big campaigner for gay rights. You put 27 hours in. You must really care a lot about that. Wow. And it's not, I don't care. They may not care, but it's more I don't mind. Wow. Oh, you're interested in that? Okay. All right. What else? What else are you interested in?
So the more mindfulness and the more open, the less, the more you'll say I don't mind instead of I don't care. Which I don't care obviously implies you do care. I don't mind can just imply you don't mind.
Right. And I don't care is fine. It's just a different thing from I don't mind. It tends to be a rejection, like a setting a boundary. I don't care about that. Don't bother me with that. Oh, you like football. Okay, well, I'm not a big fan of football, but I don't mind if, we have a football poster in our garage. No, I don't mind. That's fine. I'm not a Steelers fan. I'm not a Raiders fan. I don't care if you put up a Pirates poster. Any of that. That's all fine. That's fine. Do what you want. I don't mind. They're open. It doesn't mean they won't mind anything. They're just more attentive to language or more attentive to whatever their instinctive passion happens to be in that moment than trying to gain the approval of everyone all the time as a perfectionist and as an idealist and as a reformer who's going to get into heaven, and I need to get into heaven, and we need to campaign for the solution to the crisis, to the problem, and we need to know what the problem is, we need to know how to solve it, and we need to know who's to blame, and it's important, and it's agonizing because we need to put a lot of energy into realizing these things last week at the latest, And that whole thing is not the beginner's mind. So oddly enough, I mentioned the phrase beginner's mind way back, but I use the term novice because it's a stage of renewal. It's like the persona dies. In Western religion, we talk about the death of the we talk about death as the access to heaven or paradise. In most Western religions, they don't say the death of the persona, but in Eastern religions, or Eastern philosophies, there would be more likelihood of someone saying there is the peeling of that skin of that snake, and that snake skin is peeled off, and then the original layer is revealed. The pretense is no longer the surface, there's no facade, and what's right there is the novice who does what they learn, and that's what they do. All of those idealist stages, oddly enough, are tense teachers. They're teaching because they need to, so they can get into heaven, so you'll like me, so I have your approval, and all that stuff. And so you agree with me, and so I don't know what, but there's that a really different kind of, I'm going to tell you what's right, and I know what's right, and I'm arrogant, and that whole dynamic of the idealist, the critic, the reformer, the cynic, that's the realm of idealism, and that's the realm of unconscious language, generally speaking. And once there's consciousness of language, and I don't mind any particular pattern language, I don't care if Daniel uses the F word in general. If he uses it in a particular case, maybe I care. But in general, I don't mind. And if I have a general state of relaxation and openness and beginner's mind, and my cup isn't too full with ideals and pretenses of defending why I really wanted my past to be different than how it is. One of my favorite issues is this insistence that I wanted my past to be different than how it was, and I am guilty that it wasn't the way I really wanted it to be, and who's to blame for it being the way that I really wouldn't want it to be. That whole complex of things drops away when I go, well, at the time that happened, it seems like I was pretty disappointed. I was afraid. But now, I did learn some things from that incident. I'm kind of grateful for it. If that hadn't happened, then the next thing wouldn't have happened. So I don't really mind that happened. So there's a potential shift from, that one thing that ruined my life, Daniel, that I always use as my excuse for why I'm so screwed up and everybody hates me. Well, you know what? Maybe it was not that big a deal. Maybe I can move on. Maybe I don't have to focus on that as the center of my narrative and my personality. And it can be something that I bring up occasionally. It could still have emotional charge, but I don't need to relate to it like I didn't want that to happen. The fact is, everything that was challenging in my life or that scared me, I would have told you, I do not want that. I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want to ever be scared. I didn't want to ever be disappointed. I didn't want to ever be afraid. I didn't want to ever be embarrassed. I didn't want to ever be guilty. And now looking back on it, well, I was guilty. I was scared. I was afraid. I was surprised. I was challenged. I was shocked. I was embarrassed. And I probably will be in the future. Okay. All these things I say that I want, that I need to reform the world. I need the world to have that law about, what was it, brownies, and how brownies are baked and so on. And instead of being like, I need the world to change in order for me to be all right, I don't need anything to change for me to be all right. I'm all right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
On a general level, I'm all right.
That's the shift. It's the shift of, from cynic to novice. That would be the shift that you were just talking about. Well, I mean, there's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bigger than that, but that's the actual point of transition, right there. And I'm saying it's a huge range of things, but the real big transition is that relaxing of the cynic shifting into satire and parody and their sense of humor. We didn't say this before either, but in in my experience with you, Daniel, I would say the shift from being a cynic to being satirical and sarcastic in a playful way is a huge access, at least for some people, to being in that beginner's mind, that state of relaxation, playfulness. Um, I can say, that thing that happened in 1978 that I'm really embarrassed about? I wish it didn't happen. And I wish it did happen, and it did happen. And I wish that it did. And I'm grateful that it did. Like, I don't have to maintain the quote unquote pretense of condemnation and rejection. Yeah, it was challenging at the time, and yeah, I don't mind that happened. Now, I don't really mind. At the time, yeah, I did care. But now, I don't have to focus on fixing that. I could. I don't have to. I have choice. I have freedom. So it's a pretty big, shift in my personal experience to go from that tension and pretense and I know what's right and here's my ideals and I have to defend them and everybody has to agree with me and I have to do it quickly to, well, language is pretty interesting. There's a lot of different sequences of words that people can put together. All right.
Moving on.
Moving on. Yeah, I mean, like, and now what? Well, I don't know. Now do we end? Do we go eat dinner?
It looks like it.
Do we sweep do we mop the broom? I don't know.
It is a big shift, yes. I see what you mean.
I mean, I just want to know what's the right way to make brownies. And nobody will answer me. I called 5 people. They all gave me slightly different answers. They were like, well, do you want chocolate brownies or do you want almond walnut brownies? I was like, I want the best brownies. I'm a perfectionist. Just tell me. Will you people please tell me what is the right way to do this? They were so uncooperative.
How could they be that?
I feel like I was born into the wrong family. I was adopted, by the way. I was adopted into the wrong family, and I was born into the wrong family, and I have the wrong job, the wrong career. I live in the wrong place. I wish I lived in Britain, because that's where the best accent is.
And they certainly can do better than you. So yeah, right.
I don't understand. What are you implying?
That you have a Colorado British accent.
Okay. You're saying that if somebody was stoned, they might not notice that my British accent is fake? I get it. Not very nice. If you don't have something good to say, shut your mouth.
Are you in the Outback or are you in Britain right now? Where are you at?
Australia? Okay. You're right. That was Aussie. Pink Floyd has this song, though. If you don't finish your pudding, how can you put your foot in your mouth? Okay. So,
Yes, they do.
something like that. Is that right? They're from Australia, right?
I have egg on my face. I can't even hear you. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay. Soft boiled? Daniel, I think that we should conclude soon before this gets ridiculous.
All right.
Amy's getting pissed! What did you say?
Nothing that she was interested in me getting some dishes done or something. I don't know.
Oh, well, that makes sense. She would be interested in things like that. I thought she said, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah. That's her, playful way of saying.
No, I'm really gonna fucking kill you.
Anyway, all right. Well,
I think she likes you. I'm just saying. I think she likes you.
Nobody sleep at night.
If she... If she puts up with you, I mean, I know you. And if she puts up with you, she must like you.
I guess, or she did anyway.
No idea why.
All right, so yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been a joy, and I guess we'll see you Tuesday, right?
Cool, yeah. So I'm planning to, pull this off of my recording device here and put it up for people to listen to. I know Amy will want to listen to it again so that she can enjoy all of the special moments. And if she if she puts up with you, I mean, I know you, and if she puts up with you, she must like you.
I guess, or she did anyway.
No idea why.
All right, so yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been a joy, and I guess we'll see you Tuesday, right?
Cool. Yeah. So I'm planning to pull this off of my recording device here and put it up for people to listen to. I know Amy will want to listen to it again so that she can enjoy all of the special moments. And what else do you want to say to our listeners on audio?
I don't know. Thank you, JR. I appreciate it. You know, it's really it's a foundation. A foundation. I know all these words, all these labels we've been talking about, really have no meaning by themselves, but it's a good foundation to view things from, to view a shift. You know what I mean? You're using language to express a shift in how we are in consciousness.
Yeah.
You know?
I recently used the title From Fun to Fear, or From Fun to Fear and Back, I think was the title. And it has been fun, and I told you, Daniel, yesterday that I thought, we could really have fun with this. And it didn't necessarily start with the, level of humor and joy that we've come to in the later stages. But I do hope that people who are listening really enjoyed it. And just I wanted to note to listeners that we really welcome people's feedback and input. And if you have any questions, certainly you can let us know. All right. Well, thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Signing off. We'll talk to you in a couple days.
Sounds good. Talk to you later.
Okay.